ExxonMobil Bernard Harris Summer Science Camp at Trine University, and we're here hosting 44 kids from the surrounding area. We have some kids from southern Michigan, western Ohio, and northeast Indiana. And we have had them here for a week so far, so we're pretty tired, but they're here learning about science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. They have classes in robotics. They're doing demonstrations with different animals. We have a person that's brought in a bunch of animals, one of our teachers, and they've held snakes, they've tested cockroaches. Oh man, they've done a lot of things, so they've been pretty busy. The rest of the week they're working on final projects for next week, where they are going to design a robot that can perform functions in different habitats. So we've assigned habitats like mountain ranges and deserts and oceans, and then there's also one Indiana area, so you have to perform a function in some sort of area in Indiana. And they have to do research with that robot. So they're going to design a model for a robot that's based off of the animals that they've learned about. So they might use a beaver and use something off of a beaver on their robot that helps that beaver survive in that habitat. Yeah, Dr. Bernard Harris, he's a real-life astronaut. The kids think he's a superhero, basically, so it's really fun for them to have him here and to talk and to tell them, you know, that I had this dream when I was your age, and this is what I've done, and I've gone into space, and I've walked in space. And for them to be able to see him and see he's a real person and he had those kind of dreams is a really great opportunity for these kids. These kids, a lot of them come from underrepresented populations. We have a lot of low-income families, and we have a lot of minority families, and also from the rural populations around this area that don't have a lot of opportunities in science and math. Ami Patel, she's from ExxonMobil. She's representing them today. ExxonMobil pays grants to each institution that hosts one of these camps to pay, so the kids don't have to pay anything to come here. So it's a completely free camp for the kids. And so she came here to represent them, and she judged their little boats that they made today and things like that. So she got to interact with the kids, and she's an engineer for ExxonMobil, so she got to talk about her experiences being an engineer. And talking about Dr. Harris all week. They made him cards, they made him a sign, they wrote him messages, and kept talking about when the astronaut comes, I'm going to ask this. So they're really excited to have him here, and he's going to go eat lunch with the kids after this as well. They ask very interesting questions. Sometimes we wish we could control what they ask, but they're very cute and they're very inquisitive. The goal of the camp is to serve kids that are already pretty intelligent in science and math and encourage them to keep up those studies, because oftentimes in the middle school years they lose interest in science and math because it somehow becomes uncool. And so we want to tell them these are the cool people that do science and math, and to encourage them to go on to college. And they don't have to go into science and math. We just want to encourage them to be good role models. We teach citizenship, we teach nutrition, we teach communication skills, all those things that they're going to need in whatever degree they choose to work towards someday. Yes, they have made friends like you couldn't believe. So from all over and from different states even, so they get to hear about what school's like in your school district, what are your teachers like, those sorts of things that they wouldn't have the opportunity to do in a summer any other way.
Hopefully I delivered was the value of education, but certainly not just education for education's sake, but focusing in math and science, because that's something that they're going to need for the future. And in order for them to fulfill their dreams, and of course I was pushing that they need to start thinking about what they want to do when they grow up, they need to be educated and they need to think about math and science. Oh, probably when I was about 13 years old, when I saw Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin land on the moon back 40 years ago today, or this week, because we've been celebrating all this month. And so when I saw those guys land on the moon, I knew that I wanted to be an astronaut. Well, they didn't have camps like ours. There were no space camps. I guess the space camp I did was kind of in my head. Doing research, finding out about what it took to be an astronaut, realizing that I had to go to college, which meant I had to finish high school, and I chose medicine. I chose to become a medical doctor first, and then use that expertise to then apply to the astronaut corps. And in 1990, I was accepted in the corps and have flown 2 missions. My first mission was in '93. It was with the German government, and it was for 2 weeks. And then my second flight was with the Russian government. We were on the first shuttle to go to the Russian space station. And it was on that mission that I got a chance to do something astronauts always want to do, and that is walk in space. When you're walking in space, it really is kind of a misnomer, especially when we're dealing with low Earth orbit and going to the space station or dealing with the shuttle. When we get outside, we have to be tethered to the ship. We don't have a jetpack yet in which we can just kind of cruise around. So we have to pull ourselves along using handrails to different spots. That particular mission, we did some work with a satellite. We actually did some work in preparation for the International Space Station, the subsequent next generation space station that we built. And I got a chance at the end of all that just to hang out and watch the Earth, watch the universe. Pretty cool. My mission, of course, in space had to deal with space science and doing. I now have a new mission here on Earth, and that is our foundation, the Harris Foundation, and we support K through 12 education programs like the ExxonMobil Bernard Harris Summer Science Camp, where we're trying to promote math and science education around the country. In fact, in addition to Trine University here in Indiana, we also have another camp at Indiana University, and then 28 others, total of 30 camps around the nation where we're impacting young lives.